I think for me, what has captured my mind briefly the last few days was the meeting of despots in Tanzania. Terrible human beings who went in there to witness the swearing in of Africa's leading dictator. Idi Amin was not this terrible. And you can look at them, they share characters. I saw Hakainde from Zambia. I saw Evariste from Burundi. I understand, it's a very poor country. They had reason to be there. I saw Hassan Sheikh of Somalia. I saw Jessica, the deputy president of Uganda. And I saw our own deputy president, Kindiki. And I understand why he was there. I mean, they presided over a genocide in 2024. He was the minister in charge of interior here. And very many young people died. So for him, he associates with what is happening in Tanzania. But the sad bit is when Kenya goes to rubber stamp such a presidency, and now, as we speak, they are ousting out all Kenyans and saying that they were the ones who were in charge of leading demonstrations in Tanzania. Kenyans are suffering at the hands of Tanzanians there. And our deputy president was there to endorse this kind of presidency. So that for me stands out as one terrible meeting that we shouldn't have attended. The first of its kind in the world, where our president is sworn in inside a military barracks, and our state goes to rubber stamp such a swearing-in ceremony that has now led to very many Kenyans in Tanzania being incarcerated, being caught, being thrown out of Tanzania. There's a lot of inhumane treatment going on for Kenyans out there. And we as a government have rubber-stamped that government, and we are doing nothing about what Kenyans are going through.
So what would you have done, you as maybe the leader of the EAC, as the president is, and you're sending...
You first ignore. I mean, you see...
So you think he's not really acted in the wisest of fashion, sending...
No, it is wrong. It is wrong. You see, this is an East African society. We know that literally what has happened in Tanzania is a genocide. Very many young people have died. The images we are seeing coming from Tanzania are graphic. I mean, what was so wrong? And I had implored the former head of state, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. I think this would have been a good time for us to just hold a dialogue and say, look here, this election can be postponed and held again in January of next year. It's not an emergency for Samia Suluhu to be president of Tanzania. So for us to come and rubber stamp that rubbish, and now that rubbish is leading to our people being mistreated, because that's where I'm coming from. I get a lot of messages and calls from people, and they're saying, look here, what is happening to Kenyans in Tanzania right now is a disaster of magnanimous proportions. How Kenyans are being treated in Tanzania right now, you wouldn't treat a dog at home like that. And we as a government are silent. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is silent. So as you speak about disasters that are happening, Kenyans are going through a holocaust in Tanzania, and something needs to be done. And Samia Suluhu is coming out clearly and saying that she's dealing with foreigners who led to protests in Tanzania. When we saw the protest and the videos we saw of the protests and the kind of Swahili they were speaking and the kind of things they were saying, those were Tanzanians. Mm-hmm. So why Kenyans are being treated to that, and our Kenyan government is quiet here, and they are all reaching out to anybody who they think has a voice to speak out for them, is a terrible place to be.
But don't you think maybe, if I may just butt in and ask you, when using verbiage such as genocide and holocaust, of course, we're not really undermining any lives that is lost in that particular space. But don't you think that is an hyperbole?
Tell me.
Genocide will be what is happening in Nigeria with the Christians.
No, tell me, right? Why would you say you are elected by 31 million people and you don't want them to attend your swearing in? You're saying 31 million people have voted for you. 98, let me tell you, if 98% of Tanzanians had voted for Samia Suluhu, it would have been, that means that in every 10 people, 8 people voted for her. Actually, 9 people voted for her in every 10. The demonstrations would not have happened because it would have been 1 out of 10 going for demonstrations. You're right? You get me? Because if out of 10 people who voted for Samia Suluhu, 9 voted for her and 1 did not vote for her, these 9 who voted for her would have been beating up the one who did not vote for her. But the amount of demonstrations that we saw happening in Tanzania, so then now she's being sworn in a military barracks. What we have a problem with is what our Kenyans are going through at the hands of Tanzanians right now. If you have a Kenyan who is living in Tanzania, check on them. Things are not good for our people, and something needs to be done for them. And this administration doesn't appear to care. They are sending our deputy president there to go and celebrate that Samia Suluhu is now president. and she's being sworn in a military barracks, and Tanzania is on fire, and bodies are all over the place, and burials are happening even at night. It is not fair, it is not right.
There's so many dynamics that we might look at, you know, as just we've